Well, what it showed you was something that Martin spoke about on Friday, which was the importance of playing in the third and fourth game to certain. We were making the case that third and fourth means nothing, and it's one of those games that should perhaps be removed from the roster. And Martin made a case that it was a worthwhile game, even though player welfare must have been featuring in his mind at some point. But the bottom line, it was a competitive game, and the Moroccans came away. Even finishing fourth was a remarkable achievement for them. And then you move to the piece de la resistance, don't you? You move to a certainly for 40 minutes, a remarkable World Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, third versus fourth did nothing for me. I was delighted for the Moroccans getting so far. Great stuff. Goodbye. See you again sometime. It didn't really do it for me, Simon. And I knew it wouldn't.
Croatia showed their class, Jim, didn't they? And then what we had yesterday was just, incredible theatre, drama. The best two players on the planet.
Greece's Cup final ever?
I think it has to be, in terms of the goal. To go 2-0 up Argentina through the tournament, they've changed their tactics relentlessly. They do what's needed. They took the game to France. Lots of talk about a virus within the group with the French, but they were like sleepwalking. They were sleepwalking for the first 45 minutes, and they got battered.
Yeah.
I thought the game changed, actually, with Di Maria. I thought it was inspired that they had then a third player in the top of the pitch that actually could do damage. I think Martinez, who's come off the bench, Gomez, they haven't really been good enough. But Di Maria was fantastic yesterday, Jim. And when he went off, the game completely changed, by the way. And they rode their luck. Somehow, the French get back into the game. 3 penalties on show. So the drama. Yeah. I think pretty well the referee got everyone right. Do you know, it was one of the first one was a little bit soft, but we was like, well, it's easier to give it, isn't it? To be on everyone's side, it's safer to give that penalty. It looked soft to me, but just about right. Otamendi gets done for pace for the second one. The third one, Jim, was a handball. And the game just kept giving and giving. And in the end, the penalties, in goal, Martinez in goal, his penalty his saves. He looked fantastic in front. I just looked at Lloris and thought, I'm not sure he's going to be able to save a penalty. I know he put our man off Harry Kane. Yeah. But you hit the ball on target and it looked like it was going to go in, and it did.
I looked at it, Simon, I thought the Argentinians refuse to lose, don't they? I mean, and they can be nasty when they need to be.
Well, you have to suggest that a team that has the emotional maturity to be able to come back from being in front 3 times, and you would think going into extra time, given the way the French had taken it back from them, that they would be the ones in emotional ascendancy. But it proved to be the other way. I'm not entirely impressed with the goalkeeper's antics, and we'll discuss that later on. But I think that, to laud the game, I think the 2 most remarkable finals that we've seen in modern history are probably both featuring Argentina. The 78 final, where they beat a very good Dutch side, 3-1 in Argentina, with all that went with that. And this final are probably up there with the greatest finals. We'll always say these are the greatest things when they become live and at that particular moment. But I think for 80 minutes it wasn't the greatest of games. One team was in control. But for 40 minutes, it was a remarkable game of football in terms of it was a basketball match with two sides deciding they were going to throw everything at trying to win the World Cup.
It was like a shootout, wasn't it? Between
our two finest players. If Messi last night was to come out and say, right, that's it, I'm retiring at international level, you couldn't blame him for what he's given. And yet he carries on. I mean, he wants to keep playing in an Argentina jersey as world champions. So, I mean, Martin, we could see a USA 2026 performance from him. Maybe like yesterday, at 39 years of age.
I don't think we'll see. This fella was the man of the match in every knockout match through to I mean, Jim, they lost the very first game, let's not forget. And they put them in a situation where they had to win every game. And they'd already done a dress rehearsal for that final last night when they played the Netherlands. Because they were 2-0 up in that game and threw it away almost. And they were nearly out. They were against the ropes. Went through the process of the penalties. I think France brought the youngsters on. They were more powerful, quicker, but they almost switched off when it came to the penalties, and they're not going to do that, Argentina. I just think their midfield, Jim, and we need a word from McAllister as well from Brighton. What about his performance in the game? De Paul as well. You know, if you want to have a fight, if you want to play football, they can do it all. Fernandes didn't start the tournament. He's the young player of the tournament, sat deep in that midfield, and he was magnificent. That
being said, a French boy goes through on goal with 30 seconds to go.
And who saves it? The keeper.
Yes. The keeper saves it. But they wonderful were there. I mean, it was a remarkable turnaround by France. It was a remarkable. They had the Argentinians. They had them in their palms of their hands because they went for them. And then for the Argentinians to go back in front was a remarkable turn of events. Because they were really, really up against it. They were really getting pumped by France for about 20 minutes, weren't they? But it was, as you say, I mean, from a spectacle point of view and from a theatre, there's very little you can say about that last 40 minutes. I mean, the first 80 minutes we can look at and say, well, okay, it was one team in control and another team that looked very lacklustre and leggy. But when they got... And when you talk about players, we talk about world-class players, and we throw that expression around like confetti. Mbappe's, 30-minute run was... you're watching a boy step up and take 4 penalties in a match, or 3 penalties, whatever it was, and score from all of them. You're watching a guy that took control of the game and just looked every inch, not £3.5 million a week, I might add, but looked every inch a world-class footballer.
I wonder how many people up and down the country were out of their seats screaming at the telly. I know I was. It was a game full of surprises. And do you know, as well as the referee refereed the match, because I wasn't really bothered who won this game. I wasn't really in the Messi camp, it's like this. He deserves that. My son was, actually. And I was screaming at the referee, you've got to let play go. It seemed like he kept stopping the play at the end of the game. But it must have been difficult for him. He must have been exhausted, the referee, and fair play to him. I mean, he's a referee that came into the game as a player, former player, was sent off, he felt, wrongly so. I questioned the referee on the day, and the referee said, why don't you take it up? He said, you know what? I might have a go at myself. And look at the job he did last night. I didn't think it was completely perfect, but it was near to it as you
but he should have let the play go, Martin, when the French were in the route to
but Jimmy gave 3 penalties.
Were lethal.
He pretty well was on it, and every major issue for the game, he was on it.
You mentioned Mbappe. I mean, and I think McCoist was tongue-in-cheek when he said it. Did you hear it? First person, what did he say? First person to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final where all 3 were over the line. So that was a little swipe at 1966. But I mean, Mbappe was sensational. Was there a hand passing of the baton from Messi to Mbappe last night? Is Mbappe now the heir?
Well, only if Messi decides it's time to go, Jim. If he decides to carry on, then no. So let's not stand in his way. He deserves that opportunity. I didn't think if he won the World Cup he would bow out in that way. He wants to be, doesn't he? Go and have a few more games for his national team. Jim, they've been absolutely quite magnificent. They were 36 games unbeaten going into this World Cup. So this is nothing new. Argentina knew.
Yeah, but look at where Mbappe is now. 12 goals, level with Pele. 12 goals in a World Cup at 23 years of age. He's level with Pele in 5th. Miroslav Klose, the German, has 16 goals, so he's going to close that down, obviously.
Of course, different era of football, though. I mean, we are seeing a much more offensive brand of football than possibly in times gone past. So I'm not suggesting that the achievements of others should be either maximised or minimised, but we are seeing a slightly different brand of football. Defenders can't defend the way they used to. People can't, the game has become less physical. So there is an emphasis more on goals, which is rightly the emphasis anyway, because that's what wins games and that's what entertains people. People might love a robust challenge, but they don't love a 0-0 draw, do they?
Yes, indeed.